And we are back with another recording again. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get you Bristol City. I was away this weekend, but we're back with another preview. We've got, again, if you've ever watched the show, if you've ever seen me before on ShamelessFC, you would know Ryan. Ryan's back. Ryan's on the channel for the first time. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good man, good. Cheers for inviting me on. It's good to be on for the first time, and yeah, it's all good, man, all good. How are you?
All good. Yeah, Leicester, I think we're just talking off camera about, again,
Yeah,
eight. We've got, I think, 10 games we've played so far. Won 9 of them, lost one of them. Again,
yeah.
fantastic start. But in terms of that and the way Liverpool are performing, how have Liverpool been this since the beginning of the season?
It's a weird one because obviously, in terms of results, I couldn't have asked for any better. Do you get what I mean? Like 16 points out of 18, 5 wins, 1 draw. Especially with the kind of run-in we've had as well, run of games. If you did, I would have, snatched your hand off for that return before the season started because I saw, Newcastle away, Chelsea away, Villa, West Ham, tough teams. And to get 16 out of 18 points of that, I think is a brilliant return. And look, there's really good signs there. Really good signs in the games this season. Obviously, there's still things that are kind of a cause for concern. Some like the way we're starting games, is still kind of a worry, I'd say. Um, but there's genuine like signs as well that makes me really hopeful and excited for the rest of the season. It's a lot different to last season, and I think me and you are kind of in similar positions in a way in terms of I feel like we both last season we had very poor seasons last season, the pair of us, and for me anyway, and it might be being the same for you. It felt like a chore watching the team. Do you get what I mean? It didn't feel right. It just felt, you know, what am I wasting my time for? Do you get me? I have to watch it, but what am I wasting my time for? It just felt it didn't feel right, and I just didn't enjoy it. But this season, I'm enjoying, watching us play. I'm enjoying, the fact that we're gonna play and watching us, so. It's really good, man. The new players as well. I really like them. Sabozlai in particular, I think has been excellent. So it's looking good, man. I can see it in the team today. I went today, and there seems to be a different energy as well in and around, like, and from the fans to the players and stuff. There's genuine excitement and as well, and you can see it in Klopp as well. His reactions and him this season, he seems a lot more energized. Whereas last season, we could all see it last season. He seemed a bit kind of fed up a lot, fed up a lot of the time. But now he seems really re-energized, back to his kind of old self. So I'm really excited for this season, man. And look, I don't know what we can do. There are still worries there, definitely still worries there. But like I said, there's a lot of excitement, I think, as well. We're scoring goals, so yeah, it's good to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see from a Liverpool perspective because last year, I think that it's a good point because there were so many teams off it. Chelsea were off it. Man
Yeah,
United still got third. Um,
yeah,
Newcastle, they did well, but there were so many teams that were just not there. And I think
yeah.
you're right. Liverpool was one of them. And in terms of that, obviously, that one of the questions I'm going to ask you is about what do you think the priority for Liverpool is this season? So you've got the cup. You've obviously got your favourites for the Europa League as well. So we've got the match coming up. How seriously do you think Klopp would take it? Because you've just played again. We're recording this on Sunday. We just played today with pretty much a fully strength team um, against West Ham. How
Yeah.
seriously do you think that Klopp will actually take the game?
I think he'll I think he'll be similar to kind of what he's done over the years in terms of. I think he'll be a similar lineup to the one we put out in the Europa League the other day against Lask, but he will still have the big guns on the bench. Do you get what I mean? He'll have Salah's, and these guys won't start, but he'll have Salah on the bench. He'll have another couple of attackers on the bench, for example, because I expect Ben Doak to start on the right wing against you guys. Um, so Bosley, McAllister, they won't start, but again, I think they'll be on the bench. So, and it was kind of because obviously Klopp's had this kind of tag of, over the last few years, not taking the domestic cup seriously. But in this last couple of years, especially the season we almost won the quadruple, and obviously we won the two domestic cups, he it was a weird one because in the first few stages of those cups, he kind of did play his second team and stuff. But obviously, as the competition progressed, he started putting out the bigger guns because obviously he saw it as opportunities to win the cup. You're getting that far, you're obviously going to put your stronger players out. But I look at that game actually against you guys a couple of years ago in the Carabao Cup, and Klopp, I remember, didn't put out a strong lineup. I remember there were quite a few academy kids and all that, and we were 3-1 down at half time, and it actually could have you should have been outside at half time, to be honest. I remember Vardy hitting the post and stuff. But then but then he had big guns on the bench. He had big players on the bench that he brought on, and they managed to turn it around for us. So I think it's going to be something similar against you lot against you guys in a few days. So yeah, it's definitely not high on his list of priorities, but I don't think he's going to completely dismiss it and disrespect it completely. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I mean, I'm just looking at your lineup there. So this was the lineup
Yeah.
you had against was it Laos?
Lask, yeah.
Lask. And so going Keller in goal, Bisacic. I think you're quite a big fan of him, aren't you? I can't remember his
Bashkitic.
name. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of him, man. He's got injured in March last year. Obviously, we brought him in because of our midfield issues last season was so big. We brought him in around January, and he played consistently for a couple of months and played well. But then he ended up getting injured, I think, for that exact reason. At the end of the day, I think he's only 17 or 18, and we haven't seen him since. And it's because we put too much pressure on him. We played him too much, and that was due to our, lack of midfield quality last season. So it's good to see him back. He's sort of playing in this kind of right back position because he actually originally used to be a centre back, I believe. He used to actually be a defender, but converted to a midfielder. So he played right back the other day. He seemed a bit rusty obviously rusty at the start, but that's completely understandable. He hasn't played for a long time, but he definitely grew into the game. He didn't play a part today. I don't think he was in the squad today, so I definitely expect to see him on Wednesday. Whether it's in midfield or at right back, I'm not sure, to be honest. So, but I expect there to be a few changes to that team as well. Like the only reason Van Dijk played against Lask was because he hasn't played for a bit because of his suspension. So I think it was to give him match practice. So I don't expect him to start on against Leicester. Simicast will, Kelleher will. I think Kanate will because he didn't play today. So I think Kanate will. He was on the bench today. He didn't come on. Elliot, I expect to play. Gravenberch, I think, will play. Endo, I think, will play. Doak will play. And then the other two attackers, I mean, it could be either one of Nunes, Diaz, Gakpo, Jota. It could be any two of them. So Salah won't start. So that's why I expect the team to be on Wednesday. But obviously, like I said, he'll have a lot of the big guns on the bench, I think, as kind of an insurance kind of thing. So,
fair enough.
so yeah.
I think it was similar here, isn't it? You've got your Salah,
Yeah,
Rosla,
exactly.
you've got McAllister, you said so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Robertson. I think Alexander, Trent Alexander's
Yeah.
probably going to miss this game, isn't he?
I'm not sure actually because I thought he would be back for today, but he wasn't in the squad today. But maybe he'll be, obviously he's a few days more. He's got a few more days, maybe a recovery of training and stuff. Maybe he could be in the squad on Wednesday. I don't really expect him to start though. But if he's in the squad, I expect him to play some part coming off the bench. So to give him match practice etc. for the weekend's game next week as well. So
Fair enough, fair enough. And I think I just want a couple of bits I want to mention. Obviously that midfield, I think we talked about it last year, it was just awful.
yeah.
Now you've got Szoboszlai, you've got McAllister in, you've got Brad Gravenberch and now Endo in that position. How have your new signings been adapting to that midfield?
Well, it was always going to be interesting to see Klopp's kind of plan with the midfield in terms because his profiles, Endo is a squad player and he was just brought in for a squad play. Personally, I haven't been impressed from what I've seen with him so far, but then my expectations weren't that high for him. The price tag, I'd never really heard of him before. I don't think anyone had really heard of him, any Liverpool fan, of course. So, but he's a squad player, man. I think he'd just be used for what he was kind of today. And he was just brought on for the last 10, 20 minutes from what we remember today. But when he started the game, even against last the other day, I wasn't really impressed. He just seems a bit maybe too lightweight, in my opinion. He doesn't seem quick or strong enough, especially for English football as well. So, but he's just a squad player. I think he's more the James Milner replacement because he can play centre back as well. He's played a lot of games for centre back actually. To be fair, for his Stuttgart. Obviously, the other three I think are going to be the regular starters. Obviously, Gravenberch came in late, so he hasn't actually started a Premier League game yet. He started a Europa League game the other day, played well, I thought as well. But I think long term, this season he's going to be a regular starter for us. And I've been impressed from what I've seen of him so far. To be honest, man, I think that's a good signing. Szoboszlai is just like just come in and settled straight away from the first game. Like he's just been absolutely brilliant for us. Arguably, I think he's probably been our best outfield player this season. I think Alisson's been our player of the season so far this season still. But in terms of outfield player, I think Szoboszlai has been just outstanding, man. His energy, his ability on the ball, the way he drives with the ball, his dribbling, his intelligence, like he's a brilliant player, man. And he's just everywhere on the pitch. He'll just pop up everywhere. His energy is just is brilliant. So I think he's going to be sensational for us, genuinely, and I'm so excited to see more of him. And McAllister's a weird one actually, because I'm really excited about that signing, and I think he's going to be really good for us as well. But I actually haven't been. I think I've been a bit underwhelmed by him this season so far. That's just me. I mean, I don't think he's been helped by the fact he's been played in a position that he's never played before as kind of a lone six, which I don't think suits him. So I can tell he does struggle in that position at times, and you can see it in the first half, especially today. I think he struggled, but second half, I think he was maybe even arguably our best player today. Second half, it's a complete difference. Second half, he was outstanding today. That pass for Nunez's goal today, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's a brilliant pass from him, brilliant assist. And he's definitely got more than enough quality on the ball. I just hope we continue to use him right, and hopefully, I mean, if Klopp wants to continue with trying to mold him into this kind of DM, hopefully it works out for him, man, because he's got a lot of quality, and I was buzzing when we signed him, man, and I think he's going to be top for us as well. So yeah,
I think he will. Hasn't he been playing that position though? He's been playing, especially with Gravenberch and Endo coming into the team. He's been playing as the six, hasn't he? Because you need the replacement for Fabinho and Henderson.
Yeah, I think obviously McAllister was the first signing of the summer as well. He came before Fabinho and Henderson left, so I'm not sure what Klopp's actual plan was with him originally. I don't think, I think it was clearly not to play him as this kind of six, but obviously because of Fabinho and Henderson leaving, and obviously with the situations in the summer with Caicedo and Lavia and stuff like that. And then Endo, like I said, we got Endo is a DM, but he's not, like I said, he's just a squad player. And I think it's quite telling that we've got a DM right there in Endo, and Klopp still persists with playing McAllister there. That just shows to me that Endo was always going to be that squad player no matter what. And I think that's all he should be, because, like I said, I don't think Endo's good enough to start for us consistently. So, yeah, it seems like in terms of profiles, it seems like the long-term midfield is going to be McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch, which I do have my concerns over. All three of them are more than good enough on the ball, very technically gifted players. But like I said, I just feel the balance there without, the natural top DM there. It does worry me, to be honest. But it's also quite intriguing to see how it works out, to be fair. So yeah.
I think you're right, and I think there's a different. It's the reason why you've got the Europa League as well. You can use to experiment in those positions.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, to go for the title,
Yes.
you have to have that. Now, because you don't, I could write you off the title. I still think you'll get second, but that's the difference between a team that's full. And again, against a Man City team, you know better than everybody. You've got to be at it all of the season.
And even if you're at it, you're not guaranteed to win it either. That's the crazy thing when you're up against Man City. And like I said, with the title this season, I don't expect us to challenge for the title. I don't expect there to be any challenges to the title. I don't expect Arsenal to challenge for it. I don't expect us to challenge for it, because I think Man City are just comfortably the best team in the league still. Comfortably. And yeah, like I said, I think we'll get second. But yeah, I think it's like you said, just this whole new midfield and the lack of a natural DM there. And just, I don't think it's enough for us to win the title this season, to be honest with you. I think, like I said, I just think City are just too strong. I don't think with that team we're capable of overtaking Man City this season. But it's definitely exciting to see where we could, where this team could go, to be honest. Like, we should really be winning Europa League. I don't think there should be any excuses for us not winning that. We're by far and away, I think, the best team in that competition. We've got a manager and players still in that team who have been to Champions League finals in the last few years and won the Champions League. So realistically, how can I not expect them to win the Europa League? Do you get what I mean? That should be kind of minimum requirement. And then I expect them to go for the domestic cups, to be honest, because they're more than capable of winning those. They won both in the same season a couple of years ago. So So we can still have a good season, even though I don't think we can win the title this season. I think next season potentially we could definitely go for the title when these players, the new midfielders, have had one season to fully gel with each other. Maybe get a couple of additions next summer, like a centre back, maybe a more natural DM if we and then I think we can attack for the title next season. But this season, I just think it's too much to ask for.
Fair enough. And I think that again, and it's just about you've got to buy your time. And if there wasn't Man City in the league,
Yeah,
and you could have a different thing. And
yeah,
but
of
this
course.
season in general in the league, I don't think there's barring Man City and maybe Arsenal yourselves. There's not really a lot of quality in there.
There really isn't. There really isn't, bro. And I think Tottenham are looking good. I think Tottenham have really impressed me so far this season with the new manager and the way they're playing. But this, I still think long term, we don't know long term this season how Tottenham will do. I think they're probably my favourites for fourth at the moment. But like I said, it's still earlier on in the season. We don't know um, how things might change for them over the course of the season. I don't know. But they're
Injuries
definitely
as
on an
well.
upward trajectory by the looks of it. Yeah, you
If they
know.
get
Then
injuries, I think if they get injured to Madison and Son, I think their
yeah,
team's looking
Basuma
very
as well. Basuma's a very key
yeah.
one, I think, as well for them. He's been excellent for them so far this season. So yeah, I still think there's still some question marks on Tottenham. But like I said, they are my favourites for fourth at the moment because of the level they're playing at. And then yeah, like you said, bro, Newcastle, I don't think are the same team from last season. To be honest with you, I know they absolutely pammed Sheffield United today. I couldn't believe that. But
Yeah,
like
8-0's
when yeah,
ridiculous.
beat down, bro. But like just where I see Newcastle this season, I just haven't been too impressed by them so far this season. I do still think they lack quality in certain positions, a lot of quality. I still think they need a lot more, to be honest with you. And then you look at Manchester United and Chelsea, who are both in a complete mess. The pair of those clubs are just in honestly complete messes. I mean, Chelsea, I mean, look at the season they had last season. You would have thought it can only get better. Bro, it's not looking like it's getting any better for them. And it's just crazy with Chelsea, especially after the money they've spent.
Hmm.
And I think things will probably get even worse for them because they got a very, very hard running coming soon from October. Very hard running. And then Manchester United are just a mess off the pitch and on the pitch. And so, yeah, it's like you said, outside of the top three and maybe potentially Spurs, there is a real lack of quality in this league at the end of the day. Even at Brighton, who everyone raves about, and I think Brighton are a very good team with a very good manager and are ran very well as a club. But
Hmm.
even they can have dodgy results there. They lost 3-1 to West Ham at home. They lost in the Europa League at home in midweek. So they're by no means the perfect team or anything either. So it's like you said, man, there is a real lack of quality, I think, outside of the top three, potentially four top teams, in my opinion, like you said.
I'm with you, and I think that gives me hope potentially because we're looking to come back to the Premier League.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
gives me a lot of
yeah.
hope coming into that because that was our goal at the end of the day to try and disrupt not the top four, but get into Europe and that.
Yeah.
And there is a real opportunity if Chelsea don't sort themselves out, which I don't believe that's happening. Man
Agreed.
United don't get the takeover,
Mm.
and then just a couple of other things as well. So we're in a good position. But coming back to this as well, so I've created something at the moment. This is kind of how Leicester is setting up this season.
Yeah.
This is kind of a mixture of we play with like a three at the back. I put Hermanson in because, as you know, with a Pep team, you need a keeper that's pretty much an out and out player.
You see, look at
Um,
that team. That team is not a championship team. That team is comfortably a Premier League team. Like you've seen players there. Cody, whilst I'm not a big fan of Cody, he's a Premier League player. Same with James Justin. Same with Winks. Ricardo Pereira. Is that Ricardo Pereira? I'm
yeah,
guessing. Yeah. Ricardo Pereira and Didi, Dewsbury Hall. Iheanacho. These are Premier League players. They're not championship players, these guys. So yeah, man. Like the fact is, I'm treating this game on Wednesday like I am playing a Premier League team because realistically, in terms of quality, I'd be way more scared of you guys than I would be of a Luton or a Sheffield United. And with respect, their team's in the Premier League right now, but your team on paper looks just way better than theirs. And
I think
so
we're discussing on Sheffield. I'm with you, but the,
mm,
the the Premier League isn't strong. The Premier
exactly,
League,
it isn't.
it's not. There's not many like. There's more names in the Championship that you go right. They're a Premier League team than there is in the Premiership.
Mm,
No disrespect, I appreciate Luton. They deserve to be here, but
yeah, of
they're
course.
not a Premier League side. You're looking
They're
at the
not.
likes of maybe us. You've got the likes of let me get up. If I get up the championship table, you should see some of the names that are in there.
Hmm?
Let me get it up now. Some of the names that are in the championship. I mean, some of them you won't recognise, but some of them are a big Premier League team. Middlesbrough, again, in times
Hmm?
gone by, Premier
Middlesbrough.
League
Yeah, they
team.
were a regular Premier League team years
Yeah,
ago, right?
got lots of, again, maybe Sunderland not as
Sun-
much.
I'd still say Sunderland. Sunderland was still a stable Premier League club for a long time as well.
Mhm.
Leeds, obviously a big one as well. Even Norwich have been in the league quite a few times. West Brom, Blackburn, Southampton. Like, yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely spot on with what you're saying there, man. Like, Luton and Sheffield United, obviously they deserve to be in the Prem because they got there by merit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They got there by merit, but like they're not Premier League standard teams. I mean, you've seen that Luton. I think everyone just knows that they're probably going to finish bottom. They'll be relegated. Then this is no disrespect for them, but they're nowhere near Premier League quality. And Sheffield United just got beat 8-0 at home today.
Yeah.
And yeah, like so, yeah, like you said, Leicester and other teams in that league are definitely probably more Premier League quality than those teams. And that's no disrespect to those teams as well, but just what
Yeah.
it is, to be honest.
Exactly, and it's just one of the things where I think a couple of years ago, I was going to say the Premier League was super strong,
Yeah,
in terms of us, in terms of Wolves were up there,
Wolves
West
were there.
Ham were
Yeah,
there.
West Ham. There were a couple of other teams went there as well. I'm trying to think.
Trying to go back a couple of years.
Brighton have only come up in the last couple of years, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now who else was there and thereabouts.
Mhm.
Crystal
Yeah,
Palace, maybe not as
because
much.
Wolves were up there, especially under
Brentford were
Nuno.
there a couple of
Huh?
years ago.
Who would you say?
Brentford,
Sorry.
Brentford.
And no, I wouldn't necessarily say Brentford. I say Aston Villa have gone up there in the last couple of years as well. They're another team that have kind of gone back to a good level.
Yeah,
But I'm trying to think who else. There's got to be other teams in there, definitely. Newcastle, obviously, since they got the money, have
yeah.
climbed up the table as well.
But just
But
coming back to that as well. So we were saying just in terms of that. So this is how we're setting up at the moment. There isn't really a
mhm,
formation built. The formation is, but it's more of a three at the back, two in
yeah,
midfield, four
yes,
up front, and then one. And we tend to play as we played you in pre-season. We tend to play a more possession style. Um,
yeah.
and we did frustrate. I know you didn't watch the pre-season, but we did for 30 minutes. We frustrated you.
Yeah, I heard for the first 30 minutes you were definitely making it difficult for us. You had a couple of chances as well.
Yeah,
Apparently, I didn't watch the game, but this is just what I heard. And so yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, like you said, that you get what's your manager's name again, Enzo.
Enzo Maresca.
Yeah, like he was Pep's like assistant or one of his backroom staff. It's no surprise that you're playing a kind of possession based system at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, it's your results have shown that it's working in it at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, you lot will definitely be back in the Prem next season, 100%. Like I'd be shocked if you weren't.
I think so, and I think in terms of that, as you know, after coming from, I know we didn't mention it, but after coming from a Brendan Rodgers management, you know that
Yeah,
the team needs kind of ripping apart,
yeah,
giving
100%.
confidence, and rebuilding back together. That's pretty much what's happened. But as
Yeah,
you know, it's going to take months, and we're still in a really good position, but the process is still really long. And in
yeah.
terms of
Cool.
how long did it take Klopp to get right before Liverpool started to click into gear?
Well, with Klopp, obviously you have to remember that Brendan Rodgers, towards the end of his reign, it's like it was just horrible, man. Like the football's horrible, the vibe just wasn't nice. I didn't like him. He wasn't a very likable person as well. Massive ego, I felt as well. A very unlikable manager, I found. And what you have to remember is Brendan Rodgers got sacked in the October. So Jurgen Klopp comes in without a transfer window and without a pre-season.
Mm.
And it was about him kind of implementing his style and philosophy onto the team at first. So you could see we were making progress in terms of the way we were playing. We got to two finals that year. Obviously, we lost both, but you could see, even though we finished eighth, you could see the playing style kind of progress. And then the next, when he was able to go into summer and get more of his play, so then in his first summer transfer window, we added Mane, Wijnaldum, etc. And then we were getting top four, and the style of play was improving. Obviously, there was still, of course, weaknesses. The team was nowhere near complete. Like I said, we had to basically rip that team apart and essentially buy pretty much a full new team. There were only a handful of players that remained from
Mm.
the team Brendan Rodgers left to the team that ultimately won us the trophies at the end of the day. The likes of
Similar where
Henderson,
we are.
Firmino.
It's
Yeah,
exactly where we are. So it sounds
exactly.
not learning his lessons. He's doing the same thing over and over again. I'm hearing from Celtic fans that he's doing the same thing. Where he goes, we need more money. We need to buy more players. We're not good enough. And I'm
Yeah,
like, it's not like they've got the Brendan Rodgers in the first couple of years. They've got the end Brendan Rodgers that we
yeah.
just hated.
And that's the thing. And it's like you said, it took a long time for us to kind of fix ourselves essentially from that. But with Klopp, you were seeing progress year in, year out. So, like I said, first season, which was kind of from October onwards, no preseason, etc. Got eighth and two finals. Then next season gets fourth. Then the season after that gets fourth and Champions League final, which we lost to Madrid. Then after that, you then go on to getting 97 points and winning the Champions League, and then after that, winning the league. So, there was definite progress year in, year out, but it was a process, man. And, it was always going to take a while to repair kind of the damage that Brendan Rodgers left us with, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And we're in the same position where after that game, I think we're just coming back to obviously Enzo's had preseason. He's had to be able to get his players
Yeah,
in. He's able to work his magic with some of the players we'll get into because some of the players we've had. And I'll try and play some of the small clips to show you
yeah,
like some of the football we're playing. But it is possession based. It's completely
yeah,
different to how Brendan Rodgers, even though they're both possession based, but as you
yeah.
know, completely different in terms of it feels completely different. I think as well, something we're going to mention as well, the last time away in the cup, when we played each other, 3-1 up we
Yeah,
were, and we
yeah.
just let it slip completely. I think you were at the game. How did you
It
find
was
that
my
game?
birthday actually. I was at the game that day. I
Oh,
remember.
nice.
Yeah, and that game was like I said, Klopp put out a very weakened team, quite a few academy kids, etc. And yeah, you guys actually tore us to pieces in that first half. Vardy just our centre backs couldn't handle Vardy in that first half. He scored a couple. I think Madison scored one from range. We got to go back to Oxlade-Chamberlain. I remember we were 3-1 down at half time, and we actually should have been 4-1 down because I remember Vardy going through and hitting the post. Normally a chance he would bag, and that would have been game over. To be honest, 4-1 would have been done. But we were still in the game, and then Klopp just made changes. I remember him bringing on like Firmino, Keita, Jota, and because Keita was actually quite. I say he was very good for us that season. To be honest with you, that was the season we almost won the quad, and he was actually very good for us when he played that season. To be fair to him. And he was excellent when he came on that second half, I remember. And yeah, we just managed to come back, and then a late goal as well from Minamino, and then just got through on penalties, man. But it kind of made me pleased with Klopp in terms of the way he changed the game, but also a bit annoyed with him, very annoyed with him with the way he kind of, I say disrespected. Would I say disrespected Leicester? Yeah, but
You
then
underestimated.
underestimated. But then I think to myself, how seriously was he taking it at the start? Do you get what I mean? Possibly. It from that lineup, it was quite clear to me that it wasn't a huge priority top of his priority list, if you get what I mean. But he changed it, and the changes he made worked. But I also think Leicester, you were in kind of a difficult place at that time as well, and I think you actually beat us the next week in the league at the King Power, I think.
The 1
When
0
Salah missed a pen, yeah,
The 1
I
0
remember you
was
beat us the next week.
yeah.
So
I remember that game as well. It was. I don't know if you had this with Brendan Rodgers, but our mentality, how the game changed for us. You brought your best players on, and we brought on Ryan Bertrand-Vestergaard, whose Vestergaard had a completely changed arc under Maresca. Completely,
yeah,
just is a player that works for him.
yeah.
But it just shows you as well the difference in mentality. That right, we're going to put these players on, try and win the game, and we just try to defend it. And our players last year couldn't defend, and you found that out firsthand going 3-3.
Well, last season's two games.
That game specifically, remember we just couldn't defend at all, and we ended up losing
Yeah,
the
I
game.
remember. Thing is, you were just killing us by absolutely just annihilating us by attacking us. Essentially, that was your form of defense that day. Was just attack us in that first half, and you did it. Our defense. I mean, we had to take our young centre back Cometti, who I just didn't rate from the start. He's out on loan somewhere now. I don't know where he is, but and yeah, he got taken off at halftime. We brought on Kanate, I remember, at halftime, and he definitely improved things. But like you said, we were just pushing you back further and further back that you couldn't really get out. And eventually we get the 2 goals. So, I mean, I could possibly understand Rodgers changing it. You know, you had a 3-1 lead there at the end of the day. You did have a good lead to protect, but with the way you absolutely destroyed us in the first half, it probably would have been worth trying to attack us more, to be honest. So,
Yeah,
because we were, I
Brendan
still
Rodgers
think we
teams,
were probably vulnerable. So,
and you know, Brendan Rodgers teams can't defend.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I
I
mean?
mean that
We
was
can't see out games.
that's what cost us the league that season. At the end of the day, I mean, we scored 101 Premier League goals that season, but conceded 50. Therein lies the problem,
Yeah.
and therein lies the problem, man. And yeah, his defense was never. He was never a good defensive coach, to be honest. He was never was, and especially in his last 1.5 seasons, our attack wasn't even good. So our attack was crap, coupled with the poor defense that we had. We were just horrible to watch. We were we were just awful, man. It's after the season we almost won the title with Suarez. It was just awful to watch when his recruitment was poor as well.
It's
So
beyond poor. I think
horrible
poor. It
recruitment.
was awful recruitment. We had the
Yeah.
same problem with us.
Yeah, like we got the Suarez money, you know, good amount of money. Was it 75 mil? I remember, which obviously, especially back then, when you think about the market now, you think back then, oh, that was easily probably now it's probably like 150 or something now. Do you get what I mean? But then we spent that money on the likes of Markovic and these players, Balotelli, and you know, players who were never going to work out, who were never good enough, and that's the thing. And obviously with Brendan Rodgers, like you said, he was a horrible defensive coach, especially when it came to set pieces. We were known
Oh,
for that
don't even
time
get
for we were
started.
literally known around maybe 2014, 15 times for just conceding set pieces every game, conceding set piece goals every single game, man. It was horrible. It was
Corners felt like
inevitable we were going to
penalties, didn't
concede
they?
one. Sorry.
Corners felt like penalties.
Oh, bro, it was horrible. It just you just knew it was inevitable we were going to concede at least one a game. It was just a horrible feeling. And yeah, the last 1.5 years under Brendan Rodgers, I don't think I've ever had like a period of time as a Liverpool fan as unpleasant as that. Do you get what I mean? It
I,
was
I,
really
I'm
unpleasant.
I'm quite like respectful of the managers we've had. And Brendan Rodgers on paper has achieved a lot, but the amount
Mm.
of turmoil he put us through as
Yeah, that's the
fans,
thing.
that's the thing. And it's something that on paper I didn't see until I went and spoke to Liverpool fans and how
Mm.
badly he treated you. But
Yeah.
I think you were saying when it came to that third year, he goes, third year Brendan. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna be like that. He's learned his lesson from Celtic. We had fourth year Brendan as well, which is
Because
even worse.
I remember telling you a couple of years ago in Shameless, this was the season before you got relegated, where you could see, I think it was
Yeah.
just after you didn't get top four for the second time. And then you went on that season where I forgot what position you finished, to be honest, was the 21-22 season, something like that. But I remember Leicester were quite poor that season. And I remember telling you that you should just sack him now because it's going to get worse. I've seen it. I've seen the movie before. It's going to get worse for you. And unfortunately, your club just didn't do it in time. Eventually, they did it, but it just was too late, I thought. So yeah, I mean, like you said, he's won you. He's had success with you. He won you an FA Cup, and I guess at Leicester, he'll always be remembered for that. But he went from hero to villain to not even villain, but like
Arch enemy.
oh my days, one of the worst villains ever when you think about it. Like
I mean,
talking
fifth, eighth
Lord
relegation.
Voldemort level villain. Like that's what he went to
Yeah.
with you guys. It was crazy.
I mean,
So
to go from fifth, eighth,
yeah,
somehow I don't know why I managed eighth
mm,
relegation is
just a
just
crazy decline. It was mental, and it's like I said. What made it even worse was the fact that on paper, you man did not have a squad that have been anywhere near relegation. You had
Mhm.
class players. You had Madison, who we've seen how great he's doing at Spurs now. Harvey Barnes, plays like that. You had some top players who should have been nowhere near relegation. And the fact he managed to actually, because he's the main reason he got relegated. I know when you actually
Mhm.
got relegated, he wasn't in charge, but that's because he got sacked too late. He put you in that position. So yeah, man, like he
Stinky
left you.
football.
He's caused a lot of damage.
And
Yeah,
he caused a lot of damage to your club, and he caused ours as well. And the
yeah,
more, I don't know if it was the same thing with you because we're hearing things now from inside the club that back then was just all the players were
yeah.
miserable. They hated training. They didn't want to be there. Brendan Rodgers sucked. He just sucked the life. Dementor. Speaking of old Voldemort, Dementor style, just sucking the life out of the football club. Basically, that was what he did. But yeah, coming back to this in terms of
Yeah.
that, in terms of the game, how do you think you said it was going to sit up like this way? How do you think the game's going to go? Obviously, we can't predict it now. And obviously, you've got games in. It's a second midweek game now. No, it's a first midweek game.
No, it's our second midweek game because we played in the Europa in the week just
Mhm.
gone. So
So
yeah.
in terms of that, how do you think? How do you think Klopp's going to take this? Because obviously he'll learn less from last time, but Leicester City are a completely changed. Pretty much, we'll see some of the main faces, but you'll see a completely changed side.
Well, it's like I said, it's like I know you're in the championship, but it is like playing a Premier League team essentially because, like you said, you've got Premier League quality players in your team, and you're playing very well. You're getting good results. You started the season on fire, pretty much. So it's Klopp. I don't think Klopp will be taking it lightly. I don't know, like I said, how high it will be on his list of priorities. I do expect him to put a lot of his second team out. But like I said, it will be with in mind of having his big guns on the bench to change the game. So it's like I said, I expect us to win still. I because we're at home and we are the we should be winning as well. And obviously that's no disrespect to Leicester, but we should be winning this game. And like I said, I back us against anyone at home. If it was at the King Power, I'd be a bit like, yeah, that's a lot tougher. But I back us against anyone at home pretty much. Our home record is outstanding. So yeah, I expect us to win. I hope it doesn't go to like penalties or something and it stresses me out or but yeah,
I just
I
want to see a good
expect us to
game.
win.
I
Yeah, and
think
I'd
at the end
be
of the
very
day,
sorry.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that your favourites to win and rightfully so. I
Mm.
just want to see us put up a fight, and
Yeah.
that's all that I care about. Again, for the 30 minutes that we played, we were still very new into the system.
Mm.
I want to see how we've come from that 30 minutes when we played you 4-0 compared to where we are now. And it's only
Yeah.
a couple of months away, and that's why I just want to see the development from that time.
I expect us to. I expect it to be a tougher game than what people think, especially if you lot. I'm not sure how you guys have started games, but like I said earlier on the show, the way we've started games has been of I think a real cause for concern. And if you guys start well, you could hurt us early on. So I think it'll be tougher than than what a lot of people think. But I expect us to come out on top, especially with the fact that in second halves this season we've been outstanding pretty much.
Mhm.
And and we're able to make changes. We're able to bring some top players off the bench. So I still expect us to win this game, but I think it'll be a bit tougher than what people think. So
Yeah, I almost expect people to underestimate us, and I think that's where we want to be underestimated. But we're coming
yeah,
back into the Premier League. I think it's where as you said, as I probably mentioned for the table, there's three teams, and then below on 20
yeah,
points, and then 5 points difference to
yeah,
the team in fourth. So we are running away. I want to see how far we are against Premier League opposition, not just Premier League opposition.
yeah.
Liverpool are one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I mean, that's always, at the end of the day, that's always the best way to see how far your team's gone is by playing the best, to be honest. And yeah, like I said, I haven't watched obviously a lot of Leicester this season, but I have heard very good things, and I can imagine the football you're playing. Do you get what I mean? Just because of who your manager is and where he was before, and the formation you showed me, the types of players, I can imagine the football you're playing, and yeah, I think it's exciting times for Leicester. But I'd be very disappointed if we went out on Wednesday, just because, at the end of the day, I still, actually people shouldn't be disrespecting trophies like this. Do you get what I mean? Like, is
Hmm.
Carabao Cup, whilst it is the least prestigious trophy, it's still a trophy there to get your hands on. Um, so yeah, man, I was gutted when we went out the Carabao Cup last season. I can't lie, I was fuming as well. And when we got knocked out by City last season, because it's a competition there to be won. And yeah, man, I'd be disappointed if we went out on Wednesday still.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. But again, it should be a good. I think it should be. I'm just looking forward to it again, entering the game. But just want to say, yeah, thanks Ryan for coming on. Appreciate you again. First
Yeah,
time on
cheers
the
for
channel.
inviting me, man. It's been good.
Yeah, no worries. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can mainly find me on Sarcasm City, Flawless's channel, on some shows there, like the Man United Liverpool show. I go on there weekly on Tuesdays. They're doing the most, which is a weekly show on a Monday night. I'm on there. And other streams, like you can find me on there sometimes, like Q&As and stuff like that. And obviously Shameless FC with Neil as well. Obviously, on Carefree Lewis's channel. Is what has he changed the time? It's like Tuesdays now, isn't it? I think.
Tuesdays, think 10 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, around then. So obviously it used to be Sundays, but now it's Tuesdays. So yeah, you can find me and Neil there as well. So yeah, big up for watching.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Looking forward to the game. Yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you all for the post-match for the Liverpool game. So goodbye.